It's the end of the rainy season in Cambodia. At this time each year, a remarkable natural phenomenon occurs. The current of the Tonle Sap River, which for the last 3 or 4 months has been flowing from the Mekong River up into the great Tonle Sap Lake, changes direction and begins to flow outwards again into the Mekong. The change in the direction of the water signals the start of the fish migration and big catches for everyone involved in fishing. It's a time for people to have fun and enjoy themselves. They close their shops, leave their fields, and come into towns and cities for the water festival. This is one of the year's biggest events, held in November. Racing teams from all over the country have to spend weeks training and decorating their boats to compete at the festival. This lasts 3 days, during which hope and excitement fill the streets. Ordinary people's lives are so linked to the well-being of the Tonle Sap Lake and River that anything affecting it can have a major impact. Fishing is one of the country's major economic sectors. More than 1 million people depend on fishing for their livelihood. Unusually high Mekong River floods can bring destruction of infrastructure. But they bring good fish harvest and prosperity. And a steady fish production ensures survival for the poor and better health in general, since fish is the only inexpensive and ready source of animal protein for most of the population. And today, that river system, including the natural habitats in the floodplains, remains largely intact. While other countries deplore the loss of fishing resources in their waterways, Cambodians catch enough fish to feed the country and export to Thailand, Vietnam, and numerous other countries. The source of the Mekong is high on the Tibetan plateau. From here, the river makes a journey of about 4,500 kilometers to the South China Sea. Along its course, it builds up a biological wealth that puts it in 3rd place in the world after the Amazon and Congo rivers. At least 1,200 different fish species alone have been identified in the Mekong River catchment area, a huge number, and at least 500 of them are found in Cambodia. So the Mekong River and the Tonle Sap floodplains are at the center of a delicate ecosystem that stretches over a vast distance and has evolved over millennia. Anything that affects its course or its flow may endanger plants and animals that have adapted to its environment. At the beginning of the rainy season, around May or June, the water level of the Mekong River rises faster than the level of the Tonle Sap River, and the water from the Mekong starts flowing into the Tonle Sap River and into the Tonle Sap Lake at its end. This expands the lake to about 3 to 5 times its dry season size. It goes from nearly 3,000 square kilometers to cover floodplains stretching from 10,000 to 15,000 square kilometers, depending on the strength of the monsoon. The lake's depth, which is about 1 meter by the end of the dry season, increases to 6 to 9 meters. In October, the monsoon rains are tapering off and the Mekong water levels start dropping. Then water levels in the Tonle Sap river and lake are higher than those in the Mekong, and the current reverses itself, now flowing again from the Tonle Sap lake into the Mekong. The flood of water that covers the plains gives fish access to areas rich in food and nutrients that are essential to the growth of larvae, fry and young fish. Species have adapted their life cycles to take advantage of these feeding grounds, but in quite different ways. When the floodplains are drying out, the non-migratory species, which are also called blackfish, move no further than the floodplains lakes or the Tonle Sap lake and river itself. Blackfish species include climbing perch, air-breathing catfishes and snakeheads. In the rainy season, they spawn and feed in the flooded plains. Migratory species, or whitefish, set out on a journey from the lake and surrounding floodplains into and up the Mekong River. The Tonle Sap Lake's wetlands and flooded forest provide a refuge to the host of animals, from turtles to otters. Here are also found the last breeding colonies in Southeast Asia of some rare bird species such as the painted storks, adjutants, and the pelicans. The ecosystem is so unique that UNESCO has designated it a Man and Biosphere Reserve Site of global importance. In the dry season, white fish species such as river catfish, reel, a carp-like species, and others take refuge in the deep channels that are found in the Mekong River between the Cambodian town of Krache and the Khon Falls. These channels can be as deep as 20 to even 70 meters. At the beginning of the rainy season, these fish species spawn in or near the channels, and the current carries their eggs, larvae or fry to the floodplains where they feed and thrive. Around November, having reached various stages of maturity, they follow the current back to the Mekong River. At times, for example on days close to the full moon, there can be as many as 2 million fish an hour making the journey from the lake back into the river.